Hi, this is Lauren with Craft Some Joy. If you're new here to my channel, then I just want to say welcome, and if you are a subscriber, welcome back. I'm so happy to have you as part of our community. Well, if you've been around my channel, you probably know how much I love organization and love to be organized, and how much organization is just kind of part of who I am. And this series, this Progress on Projects POP series, has actually been the result of me feeling the need to get organized around my scrapbooking projects. And what has been really exciting is to see how many other people are and were feeling the same way as I was and needed kind of a strategy, a place to put everything, a place to put all their thoughts and ideas and details about what's important to them. And so it's been really exciting to see that this community is growing and that what we're doing here is reaching a lot of you that have had some similar needs on how to get organized. So I'm really excited about that, and I'm so happy to share what I'm doing. Now, before we kind of delve into episode 6, which we will be talking about Library of Memories in some more detail today, I do want to take a little time and talk a little bit about housekeeping, and then we'll just jump right into Library of Memories. So first of all, I just want to take a minute here and talk a little bit about photo safety. This has come up on a few occasions, and I just want to take a minute here to address it. As we learned many years ago with Creative Memories, there are some things that can actually damage our photos and our memorabilia. And for one, it's the paper that we choose to put our photos and memorabilia in. And so that's one reason why I do choose Creative Memories albums, is because their pages are acid-free, lignin-free, and buffered. They are thoroughly tested, and so that's a product that I believe in. The other material that we really need to be aware of is plastic. And I've mentioned this before about PVC being a very dangerous plastic for our photos and memorabilia. And instead, you need to choose something that's a polypropylene plastic. Well, that is one of the reasons why I do choose to use the Creative Memories Power Sort boxes, is because I know that these are archival. They are made out of polypropylene plastic. They are not going to damage my photos, even if they stay in there for years and years. So that's just something I wanted to mention. I know it has gotten brought up that these are a little bit more of an investment of a purchase rather than just a $1.99 cardboard box that you can find at a hobby supply store. And that's true. But these are, again, a quality product and something that you will just have to invest in one time, and that will last a lifetime. Believe me, I have some of my big Power Sort boxes. Creative Memories first came out with the big ones that I have had my backlog of photos in for a good 20 years. So they last, they do stand the test of time. Now, in addition to the boxes, I did see a few comments come up about the paper, that if you like to use the photo folder template, what kind of paper to use. Again, I just want to encourage you to use acid-free, lignin-free paper. I'm hoping that your photos are not going to stay in here long term, but do choose a good high quality paper that is going to not damage your photos. Now, here's the thing that I want you to know. There is nobody out there that is policing what people write or say about their products. So people can say anything they want about their products, but you really have to kind of consider the source. Who's producing the product? Where is it coming from? And do you really believe that it's archival and safe for your photographs? And I'll just give you an example of this. A while back, I purchased these negative sleeves, and they are from a company called Printfile. Now, I just found these on Amazon. It said archival. It's printed right here on the plastic, archival preservers. And I thought, okay, great. This would be safe to put my negatives in. Well, that was a project that kind of got shelved for a while. And so recently I had some negatives that I wanted to take care of. And so I pulled these out. And as soon as I opened it up, I was met with this whiff of horrible smelling plastic. And that is one of the things that I know that happens when plastic is not archival, is that it deteriorates and it emits this awful smell and gases. And that's what actually damages your photos. So here it is. They've printed on here that it's archival and that it's safe, you know, supposed to be safe, right? You would think. But just by smelling these, I know they are not safe for my negatives. So I basically had a whole stack of these that I needed to just get my negatives out that I had put in here and then look for a better product. And yes, it was more expensive. I did have to invest in a little bit more of an expensive product, but I did a little more research and I found that this was a better plastic. This was made out of polyethylene, again, no PVC, and this one is archival. Now, again, they can print whatever they want, but I am hoping that since I did a little more research and I found this one was a good brand, that it is not going to damage my photos. But just a little bit about photo safety. So it is something that you do need to take care when you are making your decisions. So if you see a great stack of paper that you want to make your folders out of, remember that your photos are going to be touching that paper. And so make sure that what you choose when you print on photo paper is something that's safe. Now there's a lot more I can go into about photo safety, but I just wanted to kind of give you a little comment and tidbit about the choices that you're making, and just to make sure that you're making good choices when it comes to preserving your memories. After all, it does take a lot to get to the point of organizing and sorting and storing your photos, so you want to make sure that you put them in a good place. Okay, now another comment that I wanted to address before we jump in is that on my last video, I talked a lot about deleting pictures, and it kind of sounded like all I was going to have was an album of Audrey and nothing but Audrey. But I do want to mention that her book will be filled, of course, with people that are important to her and the friends and the relationships she has made over time. But deleting and purging is a very important part of this process. And if any of you are familiar with Marie Kondo, she really says that you need to make room for joy. And she says, if you hold something and it brings you joy, zing, it'll have that zing and it'll just feel right to you. Well, I kind of want you to think about photos in the same way. What photos really bring you joy and help your heart be happy and give you that zing in your face? I mean, I know sometimes I'm looking at photographs and I smile as I'm scrolling through these photographs because the memories and the stories are there that are just waiting to be told. But there are a lot of photos that have no zing and no joy. And so I'm encouraging you, as hard as it may be, that it is important to do the purge. It's important to get those off your computer as part of the process of getting down into managing your photo library. So we have more to talk about on digital photos and printed photos and organizing and so forth. And I have to get into that. I'm actually thinking I need to get into that in another series because it's kind of a juicy topic. It's a big topic. But for now, as you're going through, if there's a photo that is easy for you to say, this one is blurry, this one is a dud, this one is not even my child and nobody that was important to my child, get rid of it, purge it, delete it, make room for the joy. And I think you will feel so good when you do. So I just want to say, each one of us is unique and each one of us has a unique story to tell, and that is a wonderful thing. Some of you probably had experiences where there were a lot of people, say on a sports team, that felt like family, and there are others that maybe that wasn't the case, but each one of us is unique. So don't feel like you are doing something right or wrong. There is no right or wrong in this process. There really isn't. You just have to find what is meaningful for you and how you want to approach your projects. And I just want to say that in the pop community on my Facebook, I am so proud of the people that are there and the posts that are there and how they are just helping each other and helping each other with different approaches. And it's showing the uniqueness that we all have when we look at our own projects. And so there's no one size fits all. Everybody is going to have their own approach, and I encourage you to use what you want out of this program. Don't use what doesn't work for you. If big moment album making is not your thing, then that's fine. That's wonderful. One of the posts I read said she puts all of her quote unquote big moments into her library of memories. Fantastic. I think that's fantastic. Do what works for you. And the important thing is getting a handle, writing it down, and having a plan for how you want to approach your own projects. That's the most important part. One last thing too is I did get a comment about someone who said, well, I'm just starting. So how do I look at pictures over time when I'm just starting? And I have a couple things I just want to say about somebody who's just starting or who has very, very young children. One of the most wonderful things I love looking at with my kids is how much they change over the first year. That is an amazing thing to see. And I would not ever redo the albums that I've made that follows their chronology through their first year of growth. It's fabulous to see that. Now, how you want to approach after that, whether you want to kind of start gathering photos or if you want to do a across time approach or if you want to just kind of keep going chronologically with them, that's your choice. So if you are kind of in that beginning stage, you have just some more thinking to do. But what I think is great is that you can use the experience from the group and from what I've experienced to kind of see which direction you'd like to go and make decisions about what you want to see on your bookshelves once you are starting and enjoying this process. Okay, so that's all the housekeeping I have for now, and I do really appreciate everyone who has taken the time to leave a comment or write in or help someone in the group. So thank you all for doing that. So if you remember a couple episodes ago, we talked about big moments, and then the last episode we talked about theme albums. And so this episode we are going to dig into the library of memories. And this is really exciting, super, super exciting. So again, I always want you to remember this whole ABC, look at your photos and make sure that you get more and more comfortable with purging and deleting. Make a decision on what photos are good photos, but they are not great photos. There's photos that you want to hold on to, but not necessarily photos that you want to put into an album. Put those in the archive, and then you're left with your A photos, your star photos, the really, really good ones, and then decide from those A photos, from those that are album worthy, where are they going to go? Are they going to be a big moment? Maybe you don't even want to do big moments. Are they going to go into a theme album? Maybe you don't want to do theme albums, or maybe you would like to do what we're going to talk about today, which is a library of memories. Okay, so library of memories. Well, what in the world is library of memories? I would like to give you my definition of library of memories. And for me, what that is a collection of photos with associated themes or relationships. And they're usually photos that are kind of grouped across time. So this is not a chronological approach to scrapbooking. Okay, so it's kind of looking at a collection of all your different photographs. What do you see as the themes or the categories that are emerging? What are the relationships that you see among the photos? And let's look at that across time. So just like we talked about theme albums last episode, I really see Library of Memories is actually another type of theme album. Just like when I said the All About albums for my kids are theme albums, those were originally in Stacy Julian's approach to Library of Memories, and I wanted to pull those out and put those into my just what I call my theme album category. But really, Library of Memories can be kind of categorized as theme albums as well. So I just want to mention that if you want to keep it absolutely simple, if Library of Memories kind of makes your head hurt, then there's also an approach that you can say in this kind of big umbrella of theme albums. You could also say, what is special to you? We answer the question, we are a family that blank. Okay, so if you don't want to kind of toss through and shift down and look at all the different detailed categories, what are some of the big categories of the type of family you are? So are you a family that loves to travel? You could put all of your travel photos together. That is a theme album. Are you a family that loves holidays? You can put all of your holidays together. That could be a theme album. If you love to celebrate, if you love one another. So those are just kind of bigger categories of theme albums that you can also do if you don't kind of want to get into the nitty-gritty of Library of Memories, because it is a little bit more detailed. And I'm going to get into how that works in just a bit. Okay, so just think about that if that's more appealing to you, everybody has their own choice and their own way of looking at their photographs. So that's entirely fine. Okay, so let's get back to Library of Memories. As I have mentioned in many of these episodes, Stacy Julian, and you can find her at stacyjulian.com, was the creator of the idea of photo freedom and of Library of Memories. So when I kind of studied photo freedom, and let me tell you, the first time I went through it, I was completely confused. I just couldn't wrap my head around it. But as I kind of dug into it and understood it more and more and watched more videos and read more of her photo freedom book and thought about it and talked to friends about it, it was this entire process that this whole kind of pop series was born, and having Library of Memories as a part of it. But what I feel Stacy has done is that she has taken the idea of theme albums and focused that down. And the way she's done that is that she has looked at the type of pictures that we take. And then from the type of pictures that we take, create categories. And not only just look at the types, but also looking at who you are as a photographer and who you are as a storyteller. Storytelling is huge. I think that's huge for Stacy, and that is huge for me personally. And so the storytelling aspect has been something that has really resonated with me specifically, and I think maybe resonates for a lot of us. And many years ago, when I was studying for my master's degree, my master's is in educational psychology, and my focus was on storytelling. And there is a wonderful wealth of information that's built around stories. It's how we think, how our mind is set up. We are interested in hearing the introduction, the climax, and the resolution. That is just how our brain works. So storytelling is exciting to be able to combine that with your photos and create meaningful scrapbook albums. So storytelling, categories, that to me is what Library of Memories is all about. That's the what. What is it? Okay. So now that we know what Library of Memories is, let's get into the how. I have my planner sitting here. You've been staring at that for a while. The beautiful index that I have for this tab has this quote that says, "Your heart knows the way." And isn't that true? Like, just listen to your heart, just listen to where your joy is, and you will know the way. You will know the way to create albums for your family. But you know, even listening to your heart, you might need some forms and templates. Am I right? Sometimes that helps too. Okay, so let's take a look at the Library Memories forms and templates that I have created for you. So if you remember, we talked in past episodes, we talked about Library Memories being a tab in your Pop Planner. And for those of you who downloaded the forms early on, make sure you go back to the website, because at the end of the Pop downloads, I added kind of some ideas on how to put together the Library of Memories. And so in order to use these forms, there's something that I need you to do first, and that is to take a look at your photos. So go to your phone, if you can find your photos on your phone or on an iPad or on your computer, and just take some time and look at your photos. And I don't want you to just look at 1 month. I want you to look at least 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 months. Just scroll through. Not click on every one. You can just leave it in the thumbnail view, but just scroll through and see, what kind of photos do you take? What are the themes that you are starting to see? Then you can jump into these forms, okay? But I really want you to have that knowledge base of looking at your photos first. And if you have some time to really dig in and look at your photos, that's even better. If you can look at a whole year or even 2 years where you're just scrolling through and refamiliarizing yourself with your photographs, that's fantastic. Then you can jump in to the trackers and use these forms. So the first one is Library Memories, and if you remember, Stacy Julian breaks up her Library Memories into 4 categories: things we do, places we go, people we love, and all about us. The first one is a big one. It is the things we do. And the way I look at this album, again, is looking at my photographs. What do I see? What are the themes emerging that I see in the types of photographs that I like to take? What kind of a photographer am I? What's important to me? What's important to my family? And the first category that you do that in is in everyday life. And so if you look at the things we do, and again, remember, things we do is going to be an album. I'm going to have a whole album that is labeled Things We Do. And then just like I showed you with Audrey's book, I'm going to have a title page that says Everyday Life. Okay? Behind that title page are all the things that I want you to take time right now and brainstorm. Brainstorm, what are all the different things that happen in your everyday life? If you have young kids, bath time. I can't tell you the number of pictures I have of my kids in the bath. Sometimes 1, sometimes 2, sometimes all 4 of them in the bath together. Okay, so bath time was one of the things I took pictures of. What are the things that you take pictures of? If your children are older and you're not going back to that time frame, you don't need bath time. I encourage you to take your pencil, cross out the ones that don't work for you. Add more that you come across as you're looking at your photographs. Have this template right next to you as you're looking at your phone or your iPad or your computer. And as you see a theme, write it down. Write it down, okay? It's so powerful to have things written down and in front of you so you can look at it and make decisions. So, things we do, everyday life, what does that look like for you? And then once you have your brainstormed list, you can then create your own extensive list for your album. And that's where you'll use this tracking form where it says things we do. You write down your title page, and then you also add your tag and keyword, as I've mentioned for digital photos, because we're going to come back to that in another episode. Unfortunately, I just can't cover that in this one, but you do need to decide on that, okay? So, library of memories, what does that look like in your power sort box? Well, my power sort box, as I've shown you before, this is library of memories, things we do. So in my box, I have a title card that says things we do. And then I have all my photo folders lined up in here. And if you see the very first folder that I have highlighted with a color says everyday life. And behind everyday life are all these different folders with all of those different categories. So let's take a look at one of these pods. I'm going to take this pod out. So if you want to do this on your own, get your favorite colored highlighters out. And that's an easy way to kind of designate your title pages as you're filing your photos in your box. Okay, so designate your title page with a color, okay, and just highlight that and then write your title page. That's just kind of your designation. Then behind that, for every one of these things that you write down, you're going to have a folder. So for mine, I have bath time, I have bears, I have cars, I have boys camping, I have computer, I have baking. Eating and baking is going to be in there. We are a family that likes to fix stuff. We are a family that likes food. Hugs, kisses, and smiles. Knit and crochet. And we like to make stuff. Okay, so these are themes that I have seen emerging when I'm going through my photos. Now, I have been filling some of these up because I do have some printed photos. And most of these have come when I had started on these big chronological projects through different years. And I had tried to keep printing and getting those ready to do in my big chronological album. And then that's when I kind of put on the brakes and said, wait, I'm just going to do big moments. So if you remember, big moments now are going to be chronological because I just can't give that up. That's me. That's who I am. That's who I am as an album maker. I need that chronological snapshot over time. But all the fun stuff, I agree, are all in here. This is where the stories are. This is where the fun is. So all of those other photos that I had already printed and organized and kind of got out for those chronological books are now finding homes in here in all these different categories. So if I'm looking at, let me see if I can find one here that has some photos in it. Oh, if I'm looking at us eating, so far I have some photos in here of different times. I mean, how many of you are like me where we like to take photos of us eating, right? So those are just a few photos that I have come across. But the wonderful thing is I have a place for them now. So every time I come across one, I can just drop it in here. So again, the question to ask is, what is important to you? What themes do you see in your photographs? And make a list, and then make a folder, and then tuck it in your library of memories with the things we do. These are all the things we do as a family. Now again, something to mention about this process is that everybody's library and everybody's folders are going to be different because everybody is unique. And even though I really do love taking pictures of shoes, as I mentioned before, you may not. I also love taking pictures of hair. Hair is one of our categories as well, because I still cut my boy's hair, and my husband likes to pop in every once in a while and snap a picture of me doing that. My girls love to have their hair all different colors of the rainbow. And I think they have had their hair all the different colors of the rainbow. Well, I love to document that. That is fun. That's part of who we are as a family. And that's part of our everyday life. So those things get categorized in my albums. So think about what that is for you. It's a great process to go through. Okay, after everyday life, we are going to then flip to the things we do and some other categories of the things we do. And these were some that Stacy Julian had come up with and some that you can come up with on your own. And so these can also include seasons if you like taking photos of different times of the year and plants and what your garden or yard looks like at different times of the year, or if you go on walks and take photos of that, or if you've traveled, what do those seasons look like? That could be a category. The same with colors. If you are a very visual color person and you love taking pictures of yellow things, then you can have a colors section in your album. You can also have a sports and rec. And again, take what works for you, cross out what doesn't, and write in if I've missed anything on some ideas here. Write in what your things are. You can also include achievements and traditions. Now, this is also where if you don't want to do a Big Moments chronological scrapbook, you can include Christmas traditions, Thanksgiving traditions, Easter traditions. You could include all the holidays right here in the Things We Do album for your family. So that's all, again, entirely up to you and how you want to approach your project. Okay, so after you do that, after you've brainstormed your list again here with these ideas, then you can write down what's going to go into your own personal album, and then again write the tag or the keyword that's going to be associated with that. Okay, then the next category for Library of Memories is album number 2, which is Places We Go. As I mentioned, the Things We Do is a very large category album. I have a lot of folders in the Things We Do, and each one of those is also categorized by a color into those different categories. Okay, so that's an easy way color-wise to see how to kind of break up your Things We Do album. The second album is not quite as large, in my opinion, is not going to have quite as many pages, and that is the Places We Go. And so after the Things We Do album, actually, let me pop that over there. So after we do the Things We Do album, I have the other 3 albums all contained in one Power Sort box. So in my Library of Memories, this has 3 albums. This is the People album, the Places album, and the Us album. And largely I can do that again because instead of my kids being in Us, I have that categorized into my theme album. If you remember, I have all about Audrey, all about Adam, Ellen, Eric. Those are all in my theme albums. Okay, so in this box, what I have first is the Places We Go. Now again, I encourage you to look at your photos and make a brainstorm list first, and then you can write a detailed list afterwards on what that looks like for you. So your album, you might want to first have a place called home, and maybe that's different places that you've lived or different places that are important to you or that feel like home to you, even if it's a cabin in the mountains or something like that. Make sure you put those places down. You might also want around town and also travel. So brainstorm what those things are for you and what that looks like for you. Now, I want to give an example here. It was interesting as I had gone through this process and thought about, for me, what are the places that we go, and I have all the different places that we called homes, all of our different homes. And then I thought about near and around town. And I thought, well, what does that look like for me? That's really an interesting question. And if you may have heard me say on other episodes that I do live in Southern California. And so I had to really think about what does that look like for me. And I grew up in the city of Arcadia, and so we have a beautiful arboretum in the city of Arcadia. Well, that would be something I would want to put in here. Pictures of when I've taken the kids to the Arboretum, walks we've done, things like that. That is kind of unique to where I grew up. And there's also a little taco place called Taco Lita. Anybody familiar with the city of Arcadia, you usually know about Taco Lita. And the other day we were actually having lunch at Taco Lita because even as a kid I had lunch there. It's still around, so as an adult I still have lunch there. And I thought, I have never taken a picture of Taco Lita. And so I took a picture of my burrito and my son and my husband all enjoying lunch at Taco Lita. And so now I get to tell a story about that. And that's kind of fun to think about. That's something I probably would not have taken a photo of, but it is part of my history because every time I think about that place, that evokes a memory and that evokes a part of my childhood and that evokes a story that I want to tell. So I encourage you to also think about that too, because even though themes may pop out at you at pictures you've taken, this process can also prompt you maybe to take photos that you never thought to take before. And that to me is going to make a really fun scrapbook page. And the fact that my kids have now had that part of their growing up history, and who knows, maybe it'll be part of their kids' history someday too. So anyhow, it's really kind of fun to think about those. And that's what's really fun about this whole Library of Memories process, is being able to look at these different categories and to tell the story. Okay, so that is around town. Travel, that is kind of a given. Where are the places that you like to travel, near and far? And get all of those ideas down on paper and see what happens for you and what that looks like for you. So that's going to be really fun to see the places we go and all the different places we've called home and what's around town that we grew up with, and what's also some places that we've gone as a family and that we've traveled to. That's going to be really fun to see. Okay, once you have the Places We Go album figured out for you, then I want you to go into the People We Love album. Now again, this is going to be a separate album, and so I do have this as a separate category in my box, People We Love. So all the people we love, that is just such a fabulous thing to start thinking about. And what does that look like for you? Does that include grandparents? Does that include great-grandparents? Does that include aunties, uncles, cousins? Who is important to you? Maybe it's just friends that feel that they are such an important part of your life that this is included in the friends category of the people we love. Okay, so this also could be coaches and teachers. Now, again, here's that part where, well, what about duplication? What if I've already have the coach categorized in with my son's baseball album? That's fine. If you want to leave it in your son's baseball album, that's fine. If it was a special coach, maybe you have some special photos and this person made a significant impact for your child or for your family, you could consider putting them here in the friends category in the People We Love album. It's entirely your choice. But if you already have that person associated somewhere else, then don't add them. That's fine. The same with teachers. I know looking back over my kids' school years, there were some teachers that really had such an amazing impact on my children and others that didn't have as much of an impact. So maybe there's a certain teacher that you want to highlight in here as well, and especially if you had a relationship with that person. Okay, so again, always, this is completely 100% flexible and 100% up to you. Okay, so that's a little bit about the people we love. Once you have your ideas brainstormed on this sheet, go ahead and use the tracker form to start writing those down. And again, as I mentioned before, once you have a title page, go ahead and underline that so you know that's going to be a title page. And so what my People We Love album is going to look like is that it's going to have a title page with grandparents. And I'm going to highlight my mom, I'm going to highlight my husband's mom and my husband's dad. Unfortunately, my dad passed before my kids were even born, but I may also include some, this is what your grandpa looked like. I also have a Tennessee family where my mom's family, I grew up every summer going back to Tennessee and visiting that family. So that was an important part of my life and one that I want to share with my family. So all of these Tennessee family folks are going to be in here as well. And the same with my husband's family. And also, I was lucky enough to find part of my birth family. I am adopted. And so I was able to find and connect with some of my birth family. And so that to me is also a wonderful thing that I can put in the People We Love album, is a trip when I was able to go and meet some of those wonderful family members as well as friends. So each of us, this picture is going to look very unique for each of us. That's People We Love. And then the very last category then is all about us. I love the approach Stacy Julian is taking about this, where she has kind of these different categories within the family unit. And so all in the family are those photos where you can get most of your family all in one picture. And how fun is that going to be to see all of those different pictures over time of hopefully most of the family together. Together forever is 2 or more of your family members together. So what does that look like over time? Now these categories are going to really depend on what your family looks like. I do have 2 boys and I have 2 girls. So I have a category for the boys together and the girls together. Now, if you also have a mother-daughter, that works here as well, or a father-son, you can do that in these 2 different categories as well, or you can break that out and do with mom and with dad. Since I have 2 boys and 2 girls, then I'm breaking those out and I'm going to have an oh boy and just the girls, and those are going to be girl and boy photos. And then I'm also going to have categories with photos of just 1 or 2 of our kids with us, because those to me are really special photos. And as I was scrolling through my photos, those were things that popped out for me. So again, once you have that brainstormed, cross out what doesn't work for you, add in what works for you, and then you can create your own tracker form which highlights what that album is going to look like for you. So for you and your All About Us album, what is that going to look like? And then also make sure that you have your tag and keyword. Now, one other thing that I think is really fantastic to add into an All About Us book, and again, I have to thank my friend Jeanette for coming up with this, is a dreams or a vision category. I think we all know in this day and age how important it is to talk about our dreams and to write them down and talk about our goals and talk about our vision, because when we get that clear, then we can start making the habits that are going to get us to reaching our dreams and reaching our goals. And if we can have a visual representation of that in our book, how wonderful would that be? Jeanette was saying she thought it would be so great to take a picture when you say, hey, this is one of my dreams. I want to do this thing. And you take a picture of that and you put it on your dreams page. And then when that thing happens, then you put it next to that photo. And you go, look at that. That's a dream accomplished. That's a vision accomplished. And how exciting would that be to have a whole section in your All About Us book about things that you want to do, things that are important to you and how you want to accomplish them. Take a photo at the beginning and then take another photo when you've accomplished that. I think that's just so exciting to think about. So that is also a category I would encourage you to add into your own library of memories. Dreams, hopes, and your vision. Think about that. It's exciting. Okay, so once you have all your trackers filled out and you have looked at your photographs and you have decided what things you would like to include in your library of memories, well then what's next? What do you do next? Well, I always say it is so important to have everything written down in front of you so that when you're looking at it, you go, well, in a perfect world, this is what I would want. I would want all of these pages and I'd want all of these photographs and I'd want them all sitting on my bookshelf in a perfect world. And then what we have to do is come down to reality, because I know, and I've seen a lot of you posting about, wow, I never realized how many album projects I actually want to do until I get this all down on paper. Exactly. So once it's all down on paper, you get a look at this and then you get to say, what's important for me right now? Ask that question. Once you have your thoughts and ideas down on paper in front of you, ask, what is the important story that I want to tell right now? What photos am I most drawn to? Or maybe what would be the most fun to create right now? Now, what's exciting about Library of Memories is that you can jump around. Because these albums, you have title pages, and then behind the title pages, you have all these different themes and categories. You can jump around. They don't have to be in chronological order. So if the thing that is bringing you that zing, that joy right now is all about how you guys like to make stuff and all the things that you're making right now, then look for those photos. Get those photos and start documenting the story with those photos. Okay, do you see where I'm going with that? So this again does not mean I have to start with bath time and then I have to do camping and then I have to do cars. No. With this type of album making, you get to go, what is important? What is the story that I need to tell right now? Maybe it's something the most recent and you just want to document that story. Get it down. Grab the photos that will support that and then get it down and have fun in the process making it. That's exciting, is that you get to just kind of look at this and go, what am I really excited about? Now, you also may be one of those people who gets excited by a newly released product. So if you are like me and saw Creative Memories just released the Beneath the Pines collection and had to order that, then you know I'm going to have go find photos so that I can use that paper because it's so fun to do. The same with the Disney collection and so forth. So if there's something that really brings excitement and joy and zing into your creative space, then excellent, do that right now. Okay, so just in review then, we have first taken the time to look at our photos and to decide what kind of themes and categories that we take pictures. We have used the forms and we have filled them out. We've added, crossed out, and created our own lists on our tracking forms. And then third, you've made a decision on what you want to start with first. Now, you can take a little highlighter if you'd like, and then just color the dot of what you want to work on first. Or just color a dot and go, okay, that's the first thing. And then when you finish that page, then color the next dot. It's all up to you how you want to keep track of this, but have some kind of designation for the things that are important to you and to make sure that you do those first. So then after you've decided on what's important, then of course the fourth thing that you need to do is you need to start finding and sorting your photos and putting them into your folders and into your power sort box. Okay, now take a deep breath, because I know this is big. And this includes both digital and printed photos, because most of us somewhere between 2003 and 2006 crossed over from film to digital. I know we were hybrid for a little bit, but at some point, most of us went completely digital. So you need to get a handle on that, and you need to kind of know where your printed photos stop and where your digital photos start, and how to access and print and edit and get those photos off your computer in the digital arena is a big project. And what I want to do is develop a strategy that I can share with you. And that is in the process, that's in the works. So what I would like to do is create another series that can possibly help with this huge category of how do I tackle and organize printed photos, but also largely how do I do that for my digital photos. And I see digital photos kind of broken up into two different categories. And for those of you who are Apple or Mac users, and for those of you who are PC-based users, there are two really kind of different strategies on approaching your digital photos. There's a lot of overlap, but I would like to spend some time kind of developing that and developing a strategy that's going to help you, as well as really looking at creating some good habits around how we take care of our digital photos, because we know that in order to make progress, we have to have the habits in place in order to do that. So that's important as well. So kind of as the future unfolds for the POP series and for my channel, I do want to invite Maria back, and kind of after you've had a chance to digest all of this information, there's a lot of information here in the first 6 episodes, and digest that and really kind of think about what this information means to you and how you want to set up your planner and how you want to approach your own projects. And I also have some fun things planned for my channel as well, some just creative, expressive, fun ideas that I want to make some videos on. So that's all coming. There's a lot happening, but I do want to just encourage you to focus here, since you are in the POP process right now. Finish up with this episode. Think about library of memories and whether that's going to fit into your album making plan, and kind of just your whole approach. Now you have all the pieces. Now it's time to really think about how that's going to work for you. And I do know that that is a lot of information to think about and digest. So in the meantime, again, I want to encourage you to use the POP Facebook group and share in that community, because there's again some wonderful resources right there in that community of people who are doing this right alongside with you. And again, I want to encourage you to leave a comment here on this video. That is helpful for others who are viewing the video to see what the questions are that come up. And I do try to take the time to respond to everybody's question and comment that they leave for these videos. So that's an important part of just growing this community, and I do appreciate when you leave those comments for me. And if this series has been helpful for you, I would love if you would take the time to share this information with somebody that you know might benefit from this. So please share this channel in other groups you may be in, or in other communities, or with scrapbooking friends, or at crops or retreats, and just let's help get the word out there, because I do think that getting things down on paper really does help give you a focus and a strategy for how you want to achieve your albums. And I think everybody who has kind of been involved in this process has said how much that it really has helped to understand and not just do, but really take a step back and understand what kind of an album maker they are and how they want to continue in their scrapbooking journey. And we get to do the fun stuff next. Once we've got all of this organized, we get to do the fun stuff next, which is be creative and make our pages, knowing that we've done the hard work, we've done the organizing, and we've done the thinking about how we want to do that. So stay tuned. We're going to get into some of that fun stuff really soon right here on my channel. And until next time, I hope you take time to craft some joy. Take care and bye for now.